Alright. Welcome back, Line Warriors. We've got another game from the Line War Beginners Tournament. This is a Group D match. This is Game 2 between Goomba in blue, Findstormer in red. I'll have chapters marked below if you would like to skip the pick phase. And let's get into it. So, spoiler warning, Findstormer did take Game 1. And yeah, this is Game 2. And so far this looks like a pretty even pick phase so far. Goomba has this area here on the west. This is his most central available starting pick. Findstormer has a very strong central position here. Not a lot of eco sites. Once again, these players gone through pick phase very quickly. We see Goomba starting here in the south central area. Lots of eco sites here, but it is a kind of isolated area of the map. So Goomba gonna have to leverage these eco sites and pretty quickly think about how he's gonna get onto the rest of the map. This eastern island could be very powerful. Lots of territories here. Potential trade route here. Also a trade route here that this port is a bit exposed. This town's a bit vulnerable, but if Goomba's able to get these trade routes up, that could be very good. That would be very good for his economy. See him going for a quick airport, 2 barracks. This kind of structure placement always makes me think that we could see commando drops. Factory after that. Findstormer got his buildings down much quicker. See an airport, strikers on the way on that airport, 2 barracks, 2 factories following his airport. And we've got a pretty big movement of red troops towards this eastern choke point. And we see a lot more spread out unit movement from Goomba. So these blue units going to do a better job capturing territories early, but depending on how he reacts, we could see Goomba lose ground over here in the east. Both players have a refinery on the way. Goomba also getting a farm. I like seeing farms early. Cheap to get, come up quick, and they can be a nice early game boost. Another barracks on the way for Goomba in the east, so definitely taking this eastern push very seriously. Also going with a defense line. Goomba did also switch his first helicopter into a transport. We have commandos on the way. 1 commando already on the field, second one under construction. Don't see a command for that just yet, so not really sure where this commando is going to be headed just yet. Now Findstormer jumps onto this entrenchment. There are enough units here to overwhelm that 1 infantry squad, and this is quite a bit of ground to try and cover with just 4 units. Maybe a wide dispersion defense line could have held this, but given where he put it, it was already pretty close to Findstormers attacking infantry. And all of these blue units being on capture move delayed them getting up to this eastern side. But now he will have units. I mean, and these units are coming in single file too, so not the fastest pathing to get to this east side for these units, and but it looks like since Findstormer's on capture move, this attack isn't moving super quickly, so we should be able to see Goomba plug this gap here. We also do see that he has ordered his commandos up to the north and has switched into, looks like, alternating transports and helicopters. You're gonna immediately deploy the helicopter. Not a bad idea. Aircraft very good at responding to these kind of, they're very good at acting as a sort of QRF to quickly fill gaps in positions and support weaker areas. Additional factory on the way for Goomba. No additional production just yet for Findstormer. Is bringing down factory units now. Has a SAM on the field. Don't see any more SAMs just yet. Okay, there we go. So we have a factory alternating SAMs and artillery for Findstormer, so generally just a good idea. It's generally just, you know, solid fundamental play to get some SAMs out early. And despite Goomba bringing the helicopter over, Findstormer is able to push through the left side of this defense line with a clump of infantry. Now there's enough stuff here. Findstormer or Goomba shouldn't take damage. Once again, using this capture move, gonna delay these units getting up here. That commando drop unfortunately dropped like right in the middle of a clump of red infantry. And the pathing is going to reveal the transport for maybe longer than was necessary. Findstormer responding to the commandos with the strikers and is able to destroy a barracks with that initial run by. Another barracks on the way in the west for Goomba. Currently, his eastern defense line is under artillery fire. Let's look at the economies. Let's see, Goomba at 462, Findstormer at 410, so slightly stronger slightly stronger income for Goomba right now. Findstormer sitting on a good amount of capital puts that into a second airport. Goomba at 200, so he has enough to add another one of these industries. Now enough to add another barracks. At plus 100, I would say probably want to get a second or another industry up. Goes for the barracks instead, but this barracks position could be seen as an eco site. Ooh, that's an unfortunate loss. We saw Findstormer like microing this SAM back away from the helicopter that was up here, which dragged the helicopter over this artillery, made it take some extra damage as well. Ooh, Goomba looking for a counterattack here. He definitely has local superiority. A lot more ground troops here for Goomba. No air defense though, which is going to be a big problem going into double airport striker production. So we have an eventual 2-port striker for Findstormer. Still trying to chase down that initial commando drop from Goomba. And Goomba bleeding off a few infantry here just from not having commands to hold his units behind this defense line. Alright. Findstormer has a decent amount of infantry over here on the west, but no production to support this push. Farm coming up in the west for Findstormer. So looking at the map, Findstormer definitely looks like he's in a stronger position. Well, there's a lot more eco sites here for Goomba, so Goomba's gonna have like less territory. But there's 3 cities down here, several towns. So he's got a port town here, 2 more towns, several farms. So this is definitely a very playable position for Goomba, as long as he secures this eastern side and is able to secure a decent amount of this west and get this eco built up. Now we definitely need to see air defense. He's up against 2-port striker, so I don't think he has not seen the airports. He has seen striker production, and Striker's very, very good at dealing infrastructure damage. They have really high DPS, very high air-to-ground DPS, and can really burn down structures, as we're about to see. So airport goes down very quickly, and now Findstormer has gained a little bit more vision. Throws down another target, or he has the strikers targeted onto their next building. With this many strikers, he could also target 2 buildings if he wanted to, and get them both down in one sortie. Also, with 2 airport striker production, Findstormer does need to look into getting a second refinery. He has an energy well here in the northeast. Kind of hurting for money though, but 2 more farms will help out a lot with that. So the east is static. The western forces have met. Goomba brings up his helicopters to help with the western engagement. So momentum definitely on Goomba's side. In the east, or in the west rather, excuse me. And that was a lot of red infantry that went down. This factory in the west also going to be very helpful in supporting Goomba's western effort. No troops moving to the southeast just yet, so definitely want to see that coming up, so that Goomba can start getting these eco sites, and really needs to be building SAMs out of both of these factories. Both of these factories need to be producing nothing but SAMs. The red strikers now targeted onto this refinery, going to stop these helicopters. Only 2 helicopters, it looks like. So that's not going to be a big loss for Goomba, but it is still a loss, and it is still going to hurt. That is, 260 capital, not including the upkeep that he's paid for this so far. And then that's going to be dead weight in these 2 helicopters. 3 helicopters. You see Findstormer switching into helicopter production now, hopping some helicopters over to the east, has a barracks on the way as well. And finally, the first air defense is on the field. This is way too late to have air defense, just in general. You don't need a whole lot, but I think Findstormer's little 4-SAM position is a very good start. Like, this is very good if you haven't seen aircraft from your opponent. Yes, SAMs are expensive, and yes, they do take a lot of production time, but if you are able to use your troops effectively, you can get your army to be efficient enough to hold on against, you can give up a 4 artillery advantage with armies of this size. So we see those red helicopters. So we see those red helicopters active in the west. Goomba got spooked by something. Got a little spooked, went defensive. I think if he had continued to push, Goomba could have gotten a lot of damage here. He does need air defense for this army, especially with helicopters supporting the units for Findstormer. Another targeted striker sortie from Findstormer gonna burn down one of these factories, so greatly impacting Goomba's ability to build air defense. But let's see, 3 SAMs on the field it looks like. So gonna have that 4 SAM position very soon, will Goomba. So that should help keep this production alive at least. Like, Goomba will definitely be able to secure one of his areas with those 4 SAMs. This is enough strikers to take on 4 SAMs, but that's not how you want to be using your strikers. But it could be good to just reset the SAM count, especially having killed a factory. And we have a big movement from Goomba, sending a lot of troops west. Would like to see this, at least double laned. But gonna get those troops over to the west. Looks like he wants to make a big push over here. But it's gonna be quite delayed, as and that's gonna give time for Findstormer to reroute some production, get some additional production up in the west. Also, big air sortie and big frontal assault from Findstormer. Once again, we see Findstormer's close entrenchment tactic. Definitely not a fan of this tactic, but Findstormer likes it, so gonna use that. And these helicopters, 6 helicopters completely uncontested over the eastern defense line from Goomba, going to absolutely wreck his artillery count. Entrenched infantry are actually pretty decent air defense. They actually do a pretty good amount of anti-air damage, but not enough to keep these artillery up. Looks like, what, 5 artillery completely taken down. Another one was very heavily damaged. In the northwest, we see this push from Goomba. Definitely should have brought his artillery up as well, but infantry only going to take out a farm, and this blue line means that they are going to not directly engage this artillery. So they're going to take a lot of extra damage there. Another targeted striker sortie going after this factory. Plenty of SAMs here. Oh no. That is unfortunate timing on the SAM movement. A cluster of SAMs that stays here will definitely, would have definitely made this a very expensive sortie for Findstormer. And Goomba, he could still dot these up and trade them very well. No, gonna continue with the movement. So this factory goes down, only 1 striker dies in return. Second one? Nope, gonna make it back. Okay. Now I also would like to see Goomba unassign this first defense line. Get these units back so that they're not trying to fill in the front rank and just not fighting. Town on the way for Findstormer. Air sortie into the west. Looks like it's just helicopters going over there. Gonna send the strikers after this farm. So, yeah. Findstormer has all the momentum right now. This is a pretty decently sized force from Goomba in the west. But 2 lane means that they're not really getting the surface area that they should. Also, it's a blue move, so not actively engaging units. The air support also from Findstormer are also going to greatly reduce the strength of this western push from Goomba. 560 for Goomba, 694 for Findstormer. So Findstormer has managed to take the eco advantage. He's been able to secure an advantage in income. Has a town on the way, as we pointed out. A couple of eco sites, but I think it's really just having more territories and these eco sites not being built for Goomba. He has finally started building or capturing this southwestern territory, but not enough to offset all of this capturing that Findstormer's been able to do. And yeah, Goomba just bleeding units. Lost a lot of his SAMs here to this attack move here. Gonna lose this barracks, and that is basically his entire main gone. Goomba did start building up in the southeast, has 2 factories, a barracks on the way, building SAMs, but this is very, very dire for Goomba. This is really bad for Goomba. The only thing he can do is back up into the southwestern quadrant, utilize this choke point, and try and hardpoint around his production and his eco. One power plant is not going to be enough to use this many helicopters. Eastern defense line for Goomba is completely fallen. Findstormer pushing through. He doesn't have much down here. This artillery isn't going to capture this very quickly. So there is something there for Goomba. I wouldn't really say it's a small victory, but it's like a less painful defeat, but all of these territories are forfeit. These, what is this? 5 industries? These 5 farms? Well, these 4 farms for sure are forfeit. This city site, this energy well, this potential trade route, this eco. So this is very, very bad for Goomba. And sending out this... Oh wait, this was from this blue line, or from this defense line. And Goomba has lost his western army. Definitely needs to pull back with what he has left and try and build up. But this one is basically done. 5 helicopters standing by for Findstormer, 2 more here, another one. So that's 8 helicopters at least. Second refinery is done. And still very large groups of infantry just capping for Findstormer, so still growing quite a bit. Rebuilding a farm, has a lumber yard there. Lots of strikers still. So, yeah, Goomba in deep, deep trouble. Like, really, he should probably just GG at this point. He's not completely dead, but this is very, very bad. Now, with this hidden position, I think the best thing that he could do is get a transport and get over to this eastern island and build air defense on it. You know, capture capture these territories, get these eco sites, get this eco in the east, get this eco in the west, and then try and either get directly at Findstormer's main here. If you're able to take out these airports, that's a lot of that's going to hurt his air force pretty badly. 6 strikers standing by there, so being able to get rid of those 6 strikers would be really good. And I was going to say, like, potentially get up here, but this is a lot of infantry. You would have a choke point to work with here, as well as a wood line, so you could entrench at the edge of the wood line, take a really good engagement against the enemy infantry. Goomba gonna try and set up a couple of defense lines. He wants to hold this choke point, but he doesn't have the units to do this. So this is really just going to lose the few units that he has. So trying to hold on to too much here is Goomba. Findstormer just fishing for damage here, not gonna find anything. Might get this barracks. Looks like enough units are coming out from Goomba that the helicopters aren't actually targeting the barracks just yet. Do they not see that SAM? They see the SAM, but I guess it's outside of the aggro range. It won't be now. Well, these helicopters are going quite far away, so... How is he running out of energy? Are we getting the black plumes here? So this should do it. This should be it for as far as taking out these SAMs and this barracks. This should be enough firepower. And yeah, there's just nothing back here for Goomba. Goomba is going to move out with this force that he's built up in the southeast. We see 2 factories, 3 barracks. Pushing through. We see commando drop on the way for Findstormer. And so Goomba going for a capture move, so not the quickest attack. Also, this is just all units, all ground units. So the SAMs are just kind of like mixed in here. 4, 5 SAMs, 2 of those very badly damaged. So this is really against this against this much air power. This is really a 3 SAM position. These first 2 SAMs, like, they're gonna get their missiles off, but very little cannon damage out before they die. And yeah, Findstormer has all the momentum in the west. Even has a shipyard, getting transports out to move the infantry off of this northwestern island. Would probably be better if he just pushed the infantry down here, brought the transport ship down, and made this short little hop, but it's fine. He doesn't need these troops over here, so not a big deal. Findstormer throwing up some buildings really to just draw aggro, and Goomba will take the bait. Gonna target those down. Here comes the strikers. Those first 2 SAMs pop immediately. 2 more SAMs pop very quickly after that. So this is down to 1 SAM to cover this army from, 6 strikers and about 1 million helicopters. Air defense is completely exhausted here, so now these helicopters have free reign. Strikers still getting gun runs out. But yeah, there's nothing left in this army. All that artillery and SAMs that were here been decimated by the air power. Goomba takes out those 2 buildings, but that has split up his army. So, and Findstormer just throwing stuff up, throwing up a bunch of buildings. Like, there's just not enough damage here in these blue units to take out this much stuff. Goomba did build a factory over here, but that's nowhere near enough to deal with this much stuff. So we should see a GG here very soon. Like, I want to say this was kind of a pick phase win for Findstormer, but I think Goomba had plenty of power in this position to work with, plenty of potential. Even if he only had like the southern part, like if Goomba was able to secure this southwestern quadrant, the south central area, and this eastern island, I think that would give him more than enough economy to fight back against this large empire, that the more territories of Findstormer. But that lack of air defense really cost Goomba a lot of power, and not getting these eco sites up also cost him a lot of economy. And then the smaller stuff, like bleeding out units unnecessarily. Now, Goomba did have some success here in the east. Took out a town, he took out those 2 airports, has taken out a lot of the structures that Findstormer threw up in his way. But there's still plenty of production here for Findstormer. Plenty of units on the field. So, 15-13 for Findstormer against 460 for Goomba. Goomba barely has more than, like, base income is 250 capital per minute, so 460 at 33 minutes in the game is nowhere near enough. Like, this is a decent little production base, but he doesn't have the economy to do anything with it. Like, this is a decent amount of production, but like, Findstormer can match that here. Adding 2 more airports, more production coming up in the west, 2 factories and a barracks, not to mention this outpost up here, and not to mention all the stuff he already has. So there's just nothing left for Goomba. This eastern island also would have been a good target for that first transport. So this really shouldn't go on for much longer. Findstormer's helicopters completely eviscerating this desperation entrenchment from Goomba. And yeah, there's just too much. Goomba very much in the red now, as he loses the southwestern territories. Yeah, I guess we just watch Findstormer run over the rest of this force. Come on, Goomba, GG. And Findstormer even replacing his 2-port striker with 2-port bomber. Just make it even harder for his aircraft to be countered. There we go. GG is finally called. I think we already went over enough of the kind of post-game analysis, so that is a clean 2-0 for Findstormer in this Group D Beginners Tournament set. And that is all for this one.